Ready Check Radio. Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Relic Grind, Ready Check Radio's Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast. It's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means it's showtime. I'm your host, as always, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, and we've got a lot of stuff to cover. Tokyo Game Show was this past week, so we get to cover all of Square Enix's reveals there. Was Final Fantasy XVI there or not? They said it probably wouldn't be, but we know Square wanted it to be, so we'll go through all of that. Not a whole lot on the Final Fantasy XIV front, but anticipate a tremendously packed show probably next week as the media tour embargo falls on all things Endwalker related. That falls actually on the 13th, the day before the show, so I'm sure we will have quite a few things to go over, and then some that just continue to drop out throughout the rest of the week that we'll probably bring to the following show. So lots of stuff to cover, lots of fun. Hope you'll join us if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Head on over to the website right there, readycheckradio.com. In the upper right is all the socials, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, all that jazz. Click like, turn on those notifications, sub up, tell your friends. If you like what we do, it's the easiest and best way to support us, and it's free. And you'll get notifications of all of our different streams, whether it's myself, Tarkoth, or any of the other streamers that volunteer their time so graciously to hang out and play video games. And you'll get to see cool stuff. Like this Saturday, we'll have multiple streams going on from Too Many Games in Philadelphia as we walk around and try to get the best deals on some retro games to fill some gaps in my collection. Joining me, though, to go over all the Square Enix stuff, Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. What's up, sir?
Greetings, programs. Doing pretty good. It's been a busy week. Happy to get into it and dive on in.
You have recovered from your one-chip challenge this past weekend. You did, as a show of solidarity with our previously planned three-person Rocket League one-chip challenge for our 500th follower on Twitch. Thank you all. Let's get to 1,000 now, and Kronos will dance. He said it. We were off air, but I have recording. He said it.
Dude, they had the tape recorder.
I do. We can go to the tape if we need to, Mr. Adam Lane, a.k.a. Kronos. What's up?
Oh, yeah, I'll do it, I promise. Yeah, for sure. I wanted to see Tarkov eat the chip and do nail dive bombs, though. I'm disappointed.
Oh, that was tough enough trying to read dialogue from Final Fantasy IV.
The best part, I was dying. Like, as soon as you did it, you were like, man, this tastes like shit. This is awful. It's just, like, so dry. It doesn't really have any flavor. It's definitely got spice. And then you cut to the Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. And like one of the very first sentences, just halfway through the sentence, I can hear your voice starting to crack underneath the line. Like, you're like, I'm not going to get through this. I was just, I'm so sorry. Raideo, I can't believe we did that. I was like, he is hurting. And then about 5 minutes later is when the tears started coming. You can check out the first 10 minutes in a bite-sized bit on the YouTube channel, and we have it highlighted here on Twitch. Next week is when we'll do the three-person Rocket League version of it. All three of us will be doing the one-chip challenge and trying to actually win Rocket League matches through the tiers. So join us. Twitter is probably the best way to know when that's scheduled. So, gents, let's get right down to it. Not a lot on the Final Fantasy XIV front this week. That's, to be expected. The media stuff, the embargo falls next week, so it'll be pretty busy. But that's not to say we didn't get anything. There's two things I'd like to go over, and one of them I didn't put in the show notes because I really wasn't going to go in depth, but I had some thoughts on it. I saw, Kronos, your Twitter. You have some thoughts on the topic.
Yeah.
And so I do think, let's bring it up. We are not going to show images of some of the media tour stuff from Final Fantasy XIV that has already leaked. There are things, specifically job icon or ability icons, things like that have already leaked, particularly for warriors and so there's already a dialogue going about some of these things. Well, this ability and this ability and this ability. So first off, let's put a whole big disclaimer on that portion of I really wouldn't get tied up in the abilities yet. The media tour is, of course, a beta build. All the stuff is subject to change, and we're still a little over a month and a half away from expansion. So I really wouldn't let it work you up yet. They may be all right, too, and then, okay, go ahead and get worked up if you want to when Endwalker launches. But we're not going to show those because I don't think I don't like being, as a content creator, unfair to other content creators that were at the media tour. And, let them get those hits. They earned them. They're putting their content together. We'll talk about them next week. But it has kind of brought up this sub-argument. Obviously, the person, Kronos, that leaked the materials is 100% in the wrong. There no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you had that material and you were under the NDA and you broke that, you are in the wrong. And you know what? You shouldn't be invited back if they can trace it back. It's just that simple. I don't think many people disagree at that level.
Yeah, I would say almost no one. Yeah.
Where people start to disagree is people sharing that information post-leak. So Tark leaks the information. I work for MMOBomb.com. I cover it. Or, maybe that's a little bigger because, right, it's a website that's putting the information out there. But let's just say Tark leaks it. I don't know Tark leaked it. I just know it's leaked. I like Final Fantasy. And so I start, hey, Kronos, did you see this? And then we start talking about it. And that's kind of brought up this whole argument on, are those people in the wrong? Do they have any obligation to just shut up about this shit and stop spreading it around, stop giving the leaker attention, stop giving, attention to the leak itself, and just wait for the embargo? Or, you know what? It's already out there. You can't take it back. We like talking about stuff. We should be able to talk about it. What's your take, Kronos? Because that's kind of become a little bit of a debate, particularly amongst 14 content creators.
A lot of people are getting mad, honestly, because there are people that I would consider content creators for the game that are talking about it, and people are thinking that now that they're kind of they're doing that, and people are putting it in their stream titles and stuff, and so a lot of people don't think that that's kind of taking away from the other people that got invited. And the people that got invited, they're under NDA, so they can't say anything. And trust me, I'm coming from a place where I know I've signed an NDA with Square Enix before. So I've done that before, and I've seen stuff leaked. It feels weird though, because I feel like in video games we treat this so weirdly. When in every other piece of media, if it's out there, man, it's out there. That's it. It's hit the internet. You can't take all those down. They've since deleted a lot of the stuff on Twitter, but you can still Reddit still has stuff. People are posting it to websites. You're not gonna get it all. It's just impossible.
Once it's out there, it's out there. And I can certainly feel, as somebody like you that has signed NDAs with multiple companies, gotten hands-on time with stuff. I've gotten hands-on time with stuff that never actually came out. For those of you that remember long ago, I played Lime Odyssey. I'm probably one of 25 people in the world that didn't develop the game that actually played Lime Odyssey. I got to do an alpha look for it video, but anyway. So I've done the same thing, and it does feel bad.
It does.
When it gets leaked and you're holding that information and you're doing everything right and you're getting your content ready for your audience so that you can, get them the stuff the way in your entertainment style. It feels bad. And it does feel doubly bad, Tark, when that type of stuff is then, you're a Final Fantasy XIV creator, you're streaming, your audience has, some of which, seen that stuff, and they really want to talk to you about that. Whether it's what is actually in the leak or what do you think about the fact that it's being leaked. And it does put those particular creators that were at the media event that are under NDA in a really, really weird spot. And I can certainly appreciate that, right? You can't talk about it. Not only can you just not... anything you say could be twisted into a confirming or a denying situation, which you're not allowed to do because of your NDA, and now it makes your stream uncomfortable. So it's not entirely without sympathy from me for the content creators that are kind of like, man, I wish just people would shut up about this.
I completely agree. The best parallel that I can think of, and this happens a lot in the film industry, you get first looks, you get press things, and people are under NDA and they can't talk about it. But leaks happen all the time there, and it's kind of the norm. And unfortunately, I hope Square Enix finds who did leak this, and they completely ban them from any sort of Square Enix information dump or anything ever in the future. I mean, it's just horrible. I do feel bad for the content creators because you're right. They want to talk about it. They're creating all this content. They just can't yet. So, they're fans. They're people that follow them. They want to talk about it. You got to follow the NDA because you don't want to get banned too. Even though it's been out there, you got this legal document you signed. You want to be participating in these future events. You want to be trusted by Square Enix for information. You got to keep it quiet. And like I've seen actually from a couple clips, they're like, the leaks, not talking about it. Nope, don't bring it up. Not talking about it. You just got to put a hard line in the sand, unfortunately. As far as people talking about that weren't part of that, again, parallel to the film industry, it's fair game, unfortunately. If you want to talk about it and you want to bring it up, you might not have all the full information though. So it's kind of a fine line of talking about this information that's out there for everyone to see, but maybe you don't have the full picture. So
yeah, and Freycore in chat saying, I mean, this is much different than when IGN gets a 24-hour early release embargo and everyone else still has to hold. Yeah, that's a totally different ball game.
Correct.
This is, everybody's supposed to. And it's weird because, like, for me, right, I didn't, the channel's not big enough. I didn't go to the media event. Full disclosure there. I'm sure you're shocked and amazed. We just made 500 followers.
I was invited. I chose not to go. I was too busy.
Yeah, you wish. And so, but this type of thing, when these leaks happen, since I'm just aware of all the sides and how everything, this is like, I'll talk to you two about it. Right? Oh, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this ability? I wonder if this is really what they're going to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would never hop into Happy's stream and start a conversation.
That's it right there.
I wouldn't even behind the scenes in private conversations between Happy and I wouldn't say, what's your opinion on the leak? But I recognize that takes a very unique knowledge set for me to be able to go, you know what? We're just three friends talking about it. I would never put Brian Ginger Prime in a position, even privately, where I would just I'll talk to you on the 13th, and I'll get what you felt about the leaks on the 13th. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is very, very weird.
Yeah, like when I did stuff with the returners, right? We always got a spoiler. It was no secret that we were gonna get a spoiler every set once we got our first one, right?
Yeah, for Final Fantasy TCG.
And it wasn't like people were private. Okay, I mean there were occasions where people would try to get it out of us, but like it wasn't like my friends were like messaging me like, "Hey, what's your card? Can you send me that card? Let me see that card." Because they know like we had to sign an NDA, right?
Yeah.
So like I do feel bad for people coming into their chat because like most of those people should kind of know better. Like the people that are under a DA for the most part. If you've seen these leaks, I would probably correlate that to like you kind of know. Like you had to I don't know. Maybe some people you can kind of forgive. They might not know any better, but I'd say most people know better. And there are streams that are talking about it. So go to those streams and talk to the people that don't have NDAs because they're they'll talk to you or they'll tell you they don't want to talk about it. It's one of the other things. But if you get banned in Mr. Happy's channel because he tells you to stop, ask him about it. I mean, I'm sorry, like that's his decision. He signed an NDA first off, so he's not gonna do it. So like, just leave and go somewhere else, or be okay watching his stream and not talking about the leaks. But I do have a little bit of an issue with people saying that like no one's allowed to talk about this and people talking about it.
That was going to be my last point. Don't. I made the argument for the content creators, right? The argument on the other side is, okay, if I'm going to respect you as a content creator and not bring it to your channel because I respect that there's something going on, don't expect me to not talk about it with Tark and Kronos while we're sitting there on Discord and stuff like that. It's Final Fantasy. We like Final Fantasy. We didn't leak it. We don't know where it came from. We can't do anything about it, but it's there.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, full disclosure, I read all of them. You know,
Yep,
and
I was
here
right there with you.
and the other thing too, like we don't even know if this stuff is real, right? Like the people under NDA aren't going to be like, man, they're real, but we can't talk about it. Like they haven't even they're not saying
Yeah,
that, so
they
we
can't
don't even
confirm or
know.
deny.
Yeah,
And again, like I was saying earlier, we don't know if we have the full picture, if we've
yeah,
gotten everything yet. So
we don't. Yeah, that's true. We don't. I
I
will
do
say
know the
that
Square was pissed last year when this happened.
it's happened
They
since Heaven's Word.
Oh yeah,
Like
oh yeah.
so, it's
They were
nothing new.
extremely pissed last year when it
Yeah.
happened. So
I will say the images though did have NDA watermark on them, so somebody will probably get caught. I highly doubt it's a content creator. It's probably more likely like someone from a site that
major
has a
media
friend
outlet
that has
or
like a friend, and
outlet.
I mean, yeah, that would be my guess, but I don't know. That's just a guess. But yeah, I
uh,
feel bad, but at the same time, it's like it's out there. You know, what are you gonna do?
we will be, of course, talking about that and so much more next week as the media embargo drops on the Endwalker content. Gentlemen, we're getting close. I do want to show you this, though. Look at this. Just look at this. What you are seeing is a comparison for the latest Dula Continent mobile game, Dula Continent Soulmaster Duel, popular in China mobile game, and their latest trailer looks a little familiar. A little familiar, maybe. I mean, there could be, maybe a little borrowing going on here, and
I don't know what you're talking about. It looks amazing. I don't know where they got these ideas, but it's stellar. They're so good.
Maybe a little similar, and
Maybe just a
maybe
little bit.
paying some homage, or a scene by scene remake. I don't know, Kronos. I don't want to cast any aspersions, but you fucking stole it. The entire thing.
Yeah, like what Frey's talking about in chat too. And after I watched this, one of my friends told me there was a Stormblood one. I must have missed that back when it happened.
Yeah, there is.
But
Yep.
apparently, like someone straight up copied the Stormblood intro.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is definitely like in China. You're not getting them. Like it's obvious they copied it, but then nothing's gonna happen here. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much shot for shot.
This is the Ice Baby to the Under Pressure. This is just
This is worse than
we
that.
changed the little. We just changed the little thing. It goes up instead of down. No, you stole it.
Yeah, I guess she has a hammer instead of a sword. I guess
Yeah.
that's like the one difference. Yeah.
Yep, and the coloring.
It's
coloring's
pretty
different.
bold. It's pretty bold. I mean, you do have the problem with copyright protections in China to begin with, like just universally, not for just video games or trailers or anything, right? They're not exactly crackdown enforcers of international copyright laws. That's why you always see them like in debates and stuff between China and the U.S. and China and this country as part of trade deals and things like that, trying to get China to crack down on intellectual property and copyright infringement and stuff like that. So it's unlikely. I agree with you. It's unlikely to go anywhere. I do like for some reason, I do like the media headlines on this one that were like just kind of like saying it had similarities, or like they were just like these very, well, maybe. Like if I had written an article on it, it would have been like they flat out fucking stole it. Come on.
Throwing the weapon down to brace yourself from falling backwards.
Right.
Like, I mean, come on.
But so here's the thing, though. Like, as blatant as this one is, right? Where is the line here? Because this has kind of rekindled Final Fantasy XIV's own little, I wonder.
Brouhaha.
Yeah, like, Good King Moogle song being suspiciously close to This Is Halloween in Nightmare Before Christmas, or going and doing the Sephiroth fight and listening to what sounds a lot like a Power Man 5000 when worlds collide. Like, where is the line here? Are those doing the same type of thing here? Are they homages? Where do you guys fall on this? It's just an interesting debate, I think.
Those two examples, I think there's like room for doubt, right? Now, I mean, I heard Power Man 5000 when I was like in high school, and when I first heard Sephiroth, I immediately thought of that song.
So
I'm
did
not
I.
even kidding.
Yeah.
And same thing in Moogle for me. It was
Moogle definitely has things that definitely sound like that, but it's like for Moogle I feel like it's parts of it. It's not like the whole thing. This is like a shot for shot. This is like copying. Like, so
This is
so
what
for me,
Quentin
like,
Tarantino does, and we herald him as a film, a visionary filmmaker.
yeah, it's a tough line to draw. To me, like when it's like shot for shot, though, like there's no argument to be made. You know, um,
I think you're just giving him a pass because it's Final Fantasy XIV, and you can find no faults in it.
I no, I can find plenty of faults in the game. I promise you that. But I don't know. It's just because it's not the same exact song. It's really hard to prove that. Like
Oh yeah.
I think it's obvious whoever did the Sephiroth theme was like listening to that song as they wrote it or something because it's very eerily similar.
Well, I don't know. Think back, man. I played for you Balan Wonderworld at the expense of a copyright
Yeah.
claim on my video. So Square has gotten in trouble for this kind of stuff before, but they always tread the line of, yeah, you probably stole it, but I can't prove it because it's not entirely stolen. This is just flat out ripped. It's just flat out ripped. All right, let's talk about Tokyo Game Show and some other stuff. But before we get started with those topics, a little bit of sad news for you. The Dragon Quest composer, Koichi Sugiyama, has passed away. 90 years old. Septic shock was the cause of death. Not a very pleasant way to go for those of you familiar with anybody that's actually had that type of condition. This is a really tough one for me, gents. I love Dragon Quest music. I do. And there is an argument to be made that the latter years it wasn't, all of that it used to be, and I'm totally with you on that. And orchestration versus MIDI and all of that. But he's not my dude as far as, real world views, right? He's not without his own controversy for what I believe is just being flat out in the wrong on trying to downplay Japanese atrocities during World War II, and his thoughts on members of the LGBTQ plus community. And I'm kind of torn on this one. Yeah, it's a very separate the art from the artist kind of moment for me. I can appreciate the music that somebody created while not really liking them as a human being all that much. Of course, I don't want anybody to die, certainly not in this type of way at all. So, yeah, I've had some mixed emotions when I read the news, but we'll have to see what happens with music going forward. Legendary Dragon Quest soundtrack creator, Tark.
If it came out today that John Williams passed, hopefully he still keeps going for a little bit longer, that he was just a terrible person behind the scenes. You know what? The music that he created was still gold. It was still amazing. I would still listen to it. The creations that he made, are there, and I will celebrate that. As far as him as a person, maybe not so much. Rest in peace. But I'm going to appreciate the music and the art that I'm definitely one that's going to separate the art from the artist in this regard.
Kronos kind of nodding of the same mind here.
I agree.
He was like very outspoken. Like this
I
wasn't,
actually didn't know a lot of that stuff, to be honest.
Like, oh, we caught him in 20 years ago saying the N-word. Like that, it wasn't. I mean, this dude bought ads in papers and laughed at teen suicide rates in LGBTQ plus communities, and
that's pretty terrible.
It's pretty terrible stuff, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys though. I can separate it, the two things, because even if he is a bad person, I don't wish death upon anybody though.
No, not at all.
So it's still sad. And yeah, I mean, his music's still there. You'll be able to listen to that stuff. But yeah, I mean, if that stuff, I wasn't aware of that stuff, so. But it's not good.
No.
But again,
I mean, a lot of people aren't, and there's nothing wrong with not knowing. Like you could do, I don't know jack about 90% of the artists on the radio anymore. Oh, well, that's because I'm old though. I mean, that doesn't, it's not music. Get the hell off my radio. This ain't music. So yeah, sad for the passing. We'll have to see. I mean, he does have kind of an heir apparent that's been working with him and did music on FF12 and some other stuff. So we'll have to see how it lives on through
Square's
I mean,
pretty
we've-
loaded when it comes to composers, I feel like.
Yeah.
So it'll
Yeah,
be
I
okay.
think
It should be
I think
fine.
you kids call this music exactly. I say that a lot, Medic. Strangers, Stranger of Paradise. So we got
speaking of music,
demo.
real quick.
Yeah, we
you
got
know,
demo
hey.
now. Copyright claimed.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Speaking of the music though, everyone's gonna remember Limp Bizkit, right? It's gonna be great. It's gonna live on here in Strangers of Paradise.
God, I gotta find a new host. I keep putting it off, but I'm gonna have to get around to that sometime. Stranger of Paradise demo number 2 made it out from Tokyo Game Show, and we have a release date, gentlemen. March 18th, 2020. Jesus, March is busy for Square. My wallet is crying. It's just crying at March. And oh my God, wait, hold on. November,
3-4 months
December,
is going to be awful.
January. Oh my God, Chronos. That means the set after Crystal Dominion is going to be end of February, early March. God, oh shit.
You have a starter deck coming up soon too, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, that, and then we have the November Crystals of Dominion in November. So the next set will be February. Oh man. So anyway, there you go. New demo came out. We also got a new trailer. I played the demo. Tark, I think you streamed the demo, so I know you played it. Kronos, did you get a chance to play it?
I played it a lot.
Did you?
A lot. Yeah,
Did
probably
you?
close to like
Played
20 or
it
30
twice.
hours.
Wow.
I played it a lot.
We'll start with you, Kronos. What's your takeaways?
So I tried every job and maxed out most of them. It's fun. It's still super cringy when any character talks. The story still, like, I have an idea of like what's happening, but it's like I don't know if it's all that interesting. But the class system I really like. I still like the blue bait. It's a lot of the same stuff. I feel like they just fixed a few minor things. There's still some problems that I hope they fix before the final version. It still feels a bit clunky in some ways, but it's still fun. I'm definitely gonna buy it, but I might be skipping cutscenes at some point in this game.
Yeah, I got to agree. And if you watch this trailer, like the worst moment for me was like right at the end when he's like, "What's your name?" and he's Garland, Jack Garland.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's really bad. And like the scene that Dark's talking about too, where it happens in the demo. I think it was like a separate video that they posted, or some content creator might have posted it on Twitter, where it's like they're just having a conversation with like the new girl, and he just like cuts like this song that sounds like a Limp Bizkit song on his phone and just walks away, and that's the cutscene.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And now, Tark, they did take some feedback from the previous test, though, and we did see some of the stuff that has changed. And I want to see if you noticed, because I certainly did on some of these, but some of them I was kind of like, I didn't notice. They do say, hey, the visuals have been improved. One of the most common criticisms of the first trial was the graphics. Fans wanted better, clearer visuals. They say, hey, the team was already working on that. We knew there was room for improvement and things we wanted to enhance and polish before we even put that first trial up. Those are still being worked on. We're going to continue to do that during development, but some have been included in trial version 2. Specifically, they wanted us to go back to the Chaos Shrine, the area that was in the first tutorial or first trial, and see how much better it already looks. Agree or disagree? Did it?
I'm going to have to be 50-50 on this. One of the biggest complaints I had from the first trial demo was it was just so dark.
And that is the second feedback piece that they talk about, that, they still want to play with light and dark and balance and stuff, but they did go lighten some of this stuff up as well. That, I agree with you. That I noticed. I really got to say I didn't notice a huge graphical difference. And it's hard to compare, right? Because I don't have Trial 1 sitting here. I'm just kind of got to go from memory. I was like, it still kind of looks the same to me.
I actually stopped at a couple points, and even my viewers were chiming in that this is just not good. Hopefully they are working on it, but there is just such a blurriness and like a graininess, I guess, to it. It doesn't seem like it's supposed to be a PS5 game, and another one of my viewers said, it's the same on the Series X. So they have a long way to go for me to really enjoy the visuals.
Well, that's
the
funny.
equipment. Just it's all grainy.
Because one of the next pieces of feedback, they say some observant players who tried the previous trials noticed that the visuals were a little blurry overall. You'll be pleased to hear that the new trial looks much clearer and crisper. What's more, the team put a lot of focus and energy into making sure the game runs at a high frame rate, even at 4K resolution. I got to agree with Tart Kronos. There's still a lot of work to go in this area. And it does leave me a little, are you going to be ready for March? That's
probably not.
Only 5 months away.
My game crashed 3 times
pushback.
too. Yeah, my game also my demo crashed 3 times.
Oh, that's not
in
good.
the middle of like the optional boss fights. I don't know if y'all did the optional thing where you can fight both bosses at once, or you fight them like back to back.
Back to back. Yeah, it's a
are you talking about the
rush mode
side quest? The rush
mode.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like the the last side quest they let you do. Yeah. I basically did that on like every job just to try out the jobs, and see how fun they were. And they're all pretty unique and fun.
Yep.
So, like I said, the gameplay is the most important thing to me, and so I think that the fact that that's cool is awesome. I can kind of ignore the other stuff. I know some people can't. It's fair. It's different people play games for different reasons.
Yep, and they did talk about actions being rebalanced between the trials too, and this was the area that, to Kronos, your point, I noticed the most as far as combat being a little more responsive. It's still a little sluggish in some combo types, but it definitely was a step up. There were some fixes to abilities of Jax, particularly the Soul Burst and the Lightbringer. It uses more MP, but now lasts longer, which felt good. So those changes are good. I did like that the AI companions were better.
I was gonna say that.
They were so much better.
Way better. Usable, in fact.
And now, you're able to give them equipment. So all that shit you're picking up that you couldn't do anything with in the first trial, now you can customize their equipment too, to kind of send them down their own job path as well. So all in all, I like Trial 2. I like the whole let's do one trial, let's do another one. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we get one more before launch. I am a little concerned, though, that I think March might be a little early for as much as I want to see done, particularly on the graphical front for the game. We'll have to see.
Just for my wallet, I hope they do one more trial, maybe late December, maybe early January, and push it back a couple months.
I will say that this has not Balan Wonderworlded me, where I play the trial and I'm like, yeah, I'm not buying that.
Well, they haven't taken it off the store yet, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. Things are going well when they don't destroy their own trial by fire. Speaking of beta feedback, we do have a little bit more on Babylon's Fall that finished its second beta phase as well. Not a whole lot. They were monitoring some stress patterns and things like that. They have, though, started to tweak the art style. And I know this was one of the things that I think, Kronos, you weren't all that, a fan of, this kind of like almost Renaissance watercolorish painting art style that they were going with. They have started, they heard that all over, and so they've started to kind of tighten that up. It still has that kind of oil painting aesthetic, but it's starting to look a lot more detailed. If you go to Babylon's Fall, the website, there's actually a slider image that you can use to go ahead and go back and forth. They've also talked about updating some of the actions because people gave feedback that, combat is kind of boring. And so this is only like 10, 14 seconds or whatever of video, but definitely seeing a little more Devil May Cry-ish combat style in here. This is still one, though, that Babylon's Fall that I'm still on the fence about. I'm okay with a good live service game. I'm not one of those people that just, nope, I'm out because it's live service. If it's done well and it's fun, I used to play a lot of the Division 2, stuff like that. It doesn't bother me if it's done well and they're not like just trying to bite into my wallet. But the more I see this one, for me, I'm actually, it's kind of the opposite of Origin. I'm starting to slip closer towards, I don't know if I'm going to buy this day one. Where Stranger of Paradise, I keep getting closer to, this is a day one purchase for me. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I was excited by this one. Moved to the middle of the bar when I heard it was live service because now I want to see more before I buy it. And now I'm kind of sliding down the bar a little bit, even with these closed beta 2 changes. By the way, you can go sign up for beta phase 3, which is in November.
I feel the same way as you. Like, pretty much exact same, honestly. I was really excited because it's a Yoko Taro game.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. We're going to get, like, his next Nier series. It's not Nier, but, like, his new IP.
Right.
And then it was like live service. Okay. And then, the more they showed, it's like, I don't know if I'm like super interested in it. I do appreciate the stuff they're doing though. Like the data they're putting out is really cool.
I
So
love
I
the
like
feedback and communication.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of that. But the more I see, the less I think I'm going to buy it too. Honestly, I'm still on the fence. I'm not sure. Final Fantasy has this thing going for it where it's the name. I'll probably just buy it because of the name.
Right. Right.
But I am having fun with that, and I don't know if I'm gonna have fun with this or not. It's hard for me to say right now.
So if this is Babylon's Fall, Final Fantasy Origins, you would buy it?
I mean, look, I know I'm a sucker. Okay, it's okay that I'm a very self-aware sucker. All right, yes, I would buy that if it was if it had Final Fantasy on the title, I would buy it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, don't pretend that's not you too, Tark.
I'm actually on the fence myself, but I'm leaning more towards getting it. I really wanted to get into this next closed beta. I want to get my hands on it so I can speak intelligently about it. There's only so much you can do with videos. How it feels when you play it is so much of a game like this, unfortunately. So I want to get my hands on it and see which way I want to actually go.
We also got a lot of other stuff here to go through, so let's kind of wait. Why can't I? Whatever. Whatever. There we go. Yes. No. I don't know. My stupid thing is frozen on Tarkot's screen.
Hey guys, at least I'm not a pony.
That is true. You are not a pony today. Faye not streaming after the show. Hopefully, she's feeling a little bit better. She's a little under the weather today. We got a ton of Kingdom Hearts news. A ton of Kingdom Hearts news, whether it was Tokyo Game Show or Nintendo's presentation. All throughout the week, we got a lot of Kingdom Hearts information, starting with the 20th anniversary event, Kronos, of which we know nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not really excited by this. Here's the thing. I really like the first two games. I've said this on this cast, I think, a couple times now.
Yeah.
This series needs to die in a fire. I'm sorry. I was a fan. But it's like, I don't think I need Kingdom Hearts 4 anymore. And I definitely don't want ridiculous sequels to Kingdom Hearts 3 before Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out. So it's like, it's cool that Sora's in Smash Brothers. I think that looks really cool. I think Sakura does a very good job with that game. It's a very cool last character to put in. I don't think I care about the 20th anniversary. I don't think I care that the games are available on Switch now because I could have already bought them on my PC. It's kind of weird.
I love the logo for the 20th anniversary.
I do like the chess set. The chess set looks cool. I will say that.
Boss.
The chess set is
cool. Boss. I'm with you though. I don't care. Kingdom Hearts Union X Cross has an offline version where you can watch the theater mode. They've done that with, what was it, 3 whatever.
They did it with like 2 other games, I think.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts Dark Roads Final Chapter will be coming next winter, and then we do have the entire 10 titles or whatever you want to count them as, because some of them are the theater mode things. Being released on the Switch via the cloud.
Which is weird.
So that is a little weird. A little weird. And then, of course, the big news on this front, because we have to kind of wait for more anniversary stuff. You can go look at the merch, but no real huge announcements yet, is Sora in Smash. The final character in the last major update for Nintendo's brawling title. Credit goes here to GameSpot for the clip that I'm using because I couldn't get the official one. So we'll use theirs. But yeah, I mean, this was one of the most requested characters for Smash for a while. Finally, and there's been jokes online, joke posts about, having to give up his own son, his firstborn son, who isn't even here to get Sora in the game. But yeah, a bunch of different costumes, his own stage, which looks very familiar to Kingdom Hearts players. It's got the very stained glass appearance and everything. Looks fantastic. I like some of the costumes. Some of them I'm like, we make fun of Sora for having that costume. Could we not put that costume in Smash? But all in all, I think you got to be happy, Tark, if you're a Smash fan for this move.
Absolutely. The legal hurdles that they've had to do to get this in the game / the amount of money, it's got to be crazy. Especially the keychain has the mouse ears, and it's there. So
I don't know. You could tell Disney wasn't really on board with this. There's a lot of things if you're paying close attention that I'm kind of curious what Disney said about it, because Donald and Goofy are supposed to be on the glass stage, and they're just replaced by fruits. Yeah, they do a lot of weird stuff like that. And I think, and even if you look at the Halabastion stage, they're really particular about things that are there. So yeah, I'm surprised that the keychain is there, but maybe they get away with that because Disney can't sue them for having a keychain that looks like a mouse.
Right.
I don't know.
Sure. Maybe it's not an official logo.
Yeah, but they obviously were not allowed to use Donald and Goofy in any capacity whatsoever because they literally replaced their images on every stage, every part of the stage. So it's interesting.
We shall see. A few other notables from the Tokyo Game Show. No, Final Fantasy 14 or 16 did not make an appearance at all. And it was called out right from the start. They were just nope, we're not doing it. Nothing 16 related. But here's a new Echoes of Mana trailer for you. That was a good trailer.
Yeah.
That was a good trailer.
This is the mobile title, right?
Oh, God. Talk about your first soldier, huh? Probably looking at a November release date, but they haven't been specific except to say it's still on track for the end, sometime before the end of the year. Final Fantasy VII First Soldier. Are you still looking forward to this one, Tark?
No, not really. I mean, I tried the initial beta when it first came out.
You want to know how I'm not a sucker? I'm not getting that game. I'm not getting that game.
Free. That one's a free to play.
It's a free game, and I'm not even going to waste space on my phone.
That's awesome.
Then they kind of, and these are in no particular order, right? Throughout the entire, I guess I should have said that at the beginning of the show. They're in the order I wanted them for the show. Then they showed us dungeon encounters, which okay, I'm not going to lie. I follow Square Enix a lot. I had no idea this was a thing. I think I'm not alone in that a lot of people didn't know about that. A new dungeon crawler, and this one is literally just a few weeks away. Yep. We're getting it later this month. And I got to say, it had a certain appeal for me. It does look, there was some cool, character designs and stuff like that. And, the kind of game board going through the dungeon. And I don't know, you walk around the grid, explore, chart the whole dungeon. That's the point, right? Charting the entire place. I kind of like this. I'm kind of intrigued by it a little bit, Kronos. Maybe that's dumb, but I'm kind of intrigued. And I don't expect it to be a full $50 or $60 title either,
I'm going to go against what I said earlier, actually. It's kind of funny. It's just I don't know. I want a little bit more look to it. I know I said I play stuff mainly for gameplay, which is true. I promise you. But I don't know. When they said Nobuo's doing the soundtrack, that intrigues me. So I'll definitely at least listen to the soundtrack for sure. And there are people that are working on it that know what they're doing, but I don't know how much I want to play a game where I just walk around squares and everything's even the battles are just portraits bumping into each other. If it's fun and the system is deep, then it might be worth it. And I understand why it intrigues you too. It's very much like a tabletop-y game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not really my jam, but I know there's going to be tons of people that are interested in it, so it's cool that they have something. And I mean, it's going to have good music, so
yeah, I'm definitely interested in it, Tark. I'm not sold. Don't get me wrong, but I am interested.
I'm in the same mindset. I'm very interested, but it looks very basic. yes, gameplay is very important, but the visuals do lead some to bring you in sometimes. So I'm not seeing those visuals. I'm like, okay, that's it. Just a grid. I don't understand. Like there's ah.
All right, well,
I need to see. Oh,
how
I don't
about
know.
these? How about these
I'm very
visuals
undecided.
then? Because we got another trailer for Triangle Strategy. Remember, this is
Yes.
another March 2022 title, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. This just like I don't. I do have to say that I don't understand if you're going to make this game why you don't do a Tactics remake instead,
Oh, it's
right?
exactly what I said when I saw this.
Because it's kind of like you made a Tactics remake. You just named people differently. You put a little bit of a different story on it. This is so close to being a Tactics remake in everything I've seen for it that just go ahead and make it a Tactics remake instead of its own IP. But I'm
You know
not bitching.
why?
Go ahead and give me a whole. I do know why. Go ahead and give me a whole new IP in a Tactics world. I love Tactics games. Square Enix does some of the best. I hope that this is going to be right up there too. But this new trailer, just like I was absolutely smitten with this trailer.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's definitely like a spiritual successor to like Octopath and Tactics. Like kind of had a baby a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it. I love Tactics games. I think they're scared to use like their old IPs for stuff like this because then if it fails, then people are like, oh, well, look at this. Like Tactics is never going to come back in this year. And if it succeeds, everybody's just like, oh yeah, it's just another Tactics game. But if it's its own thing, I think that's why they were so hesitant to do like 7 for like such a long
Freycore
time.
says in chat, Tactics remake only sells to nostalgia. New IP sells to younger crowd and an older crowd. And I would agree with you if the game didn't already have Final Fantasy in its title. I think that whole argument kind of goes away when the title gets Final Fantasy. Yeah, of course it's going to appeal to nostalgia and older gamers, but because it has Final Fantasy in the title, it self-markets to the younger crowd too.
And you get suckers like me that'll just buy it.
Right.
Yeah. It looks cool though. I'm still surprised it's a project like Triangle Strategy. It seems like a weird name, but
yeah, Torchwick Tarkoth hates that name. Torchwick just absolutely hates the name.
Absolutely stupid. I get that they're trying to, saying that the scales are a triangle. You got to balance them. It's just a stupid name. They need to rebrand that real quick. But the game looked amazing.
Niabari chat, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and FFTA2 remakes.
Yeah, do the whole series. Absolutely.
Should have called it Pyramid Scheme. Jason, awesome. You're probably right. Like it's probably one of those names that does sound really badass in Japanese. Well, you know some of the kanji. Go ahead and look it up for us and see what it's called and how to pronounce it. Because I always love like when you see these like amazing words on an English package of a video game, and you're like, man, that sounds like a boss game, and then like your Japanese friend is like, it means darkness. Like, if we named it Darkness in English, we'd be like, what a dumb title. But if we give it the Japanese name, we're like, ooh, that's sweet. That's sweet right there. It's just katakana, Tora Guru Senru Yaku. I'll take your word for it. And yeah, it doesn't, yeah. It maybe sounds just as dumb as Triangle Strategy then. Then we come to one last thing before we get over to our Love It or Leave It segment. And this is something that I was very excited about last show, and you gentlemen were interested too. But I love discussions like this that was going to take place between Yoshi P and Hironobu Sakaguchi about like RPGs and development of RPGs and things like it. I knew it was going to be like a very theoretical discussion, right? Just conceptual, like how do they imagine things? But I'm all for that. I love that type of discussion. And I gotta say, the whole thing's about 45, 50 minutes long, and the whole thing, for me, was a total disappointment. A total disappointment. They were up front and said that there were not going to be any new announcements of anything during this, and I was cool with that. I knew what this was and what I wanted to get out of it. And they did kind of jokey around about Final Fantasy XVI a little bit. And they did kind of confirm the main scenario is finished, which we already knew. Yoshi P had said that before. Sakaguchi himself does like the fantasy direction of the game and maybe would consider writing a quest for the game. Haha, jokey, back and forth. But other than that, not only was it kind of just a disappointing conversation, I didn't feel like we were watching two masters of their craft discuss their craft. I thought we were watching two guys that have a tremendous amount of respect for each other hang out, which I'm also okay with, but it was billed differently, at least in my mind. And the one thing I will say about this is that poor translator. Oh my God. She did a tremendous job, but she was given an impossible task. There should have been two translators or just subtitle it, one or the other, because I had no concept at certain times, Tark, who was talking, because she's trying to do it in real time. They're not pausing to allow for translation. They just keep the conversation going. So you can't even rely on, okay, Yoshi P just talked, now she's talking, so she must be talking from Yoshi P's perspective, and now Hironobu Sakaguchi is talking, and now she's talking, so that must be his perspective. They just kept talking, and she's talking over them, and you just lost the whole thing. It was a huge disappointment for me.
Yeah, if you're going to handle translations, they need to handle it like they did the live letter, where she was given an opportunity to translate on every message. I lasted maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 on this, and I'm like, I can't follow this anymore. I'm a little confused, and I haven't gotten back to watch the rest of the video. So, you got more context than I do on this. The translating really took me out of it.
Chat saying should have had two cameras for her that swapped between people. The camera would swap views for each person. I don't think that helps though. I think Kronos, you need the second translator there. And Square has done this before, right? Put a clearly female voice translator and a clearly deeper male voice translator to give two totally different voices and they just latch onto one person. Because if she's still doing the translation, but you have two cameras swapping between the two people, does the camera follow what she is saying and show that person or does the camera follow whoever is speaking in real time, regardless of where the translator is? Either way, the viewer is still confused by what is going on. So I think you either subtitle the damn thing or do two translators.
I like the subtitle idea a lot too, because even you mentioned the live letter too, and while she did a fantastic job, that thing also went 7 hours and was supposed to go 4.
Right.
So I think subtitles might be like a good idea for stuff that's going to be like lengthy or involve multiple people like that, where it's not clear. I think that would have at least made it a lot more watchable. I had the same kind of issue Tark had, where I couldn't even really finish it. I had trouble kind of following it. And and also like what you said too, I was expecting more, and that's probably my fault. But I wanted a bit more out of it. But it is what it is.
It's one of those weird situations where I like the feeling of spontaneity, right? None of the answers being scripted, whether it's the live letter or this type of video as well. But it really doesn't. You really can't get both unless you really take your time to plan out exactly how we're going to do things. And I don't want the live letters to be scripted. Well, okay. Yeah. Then we won't script them. We'll have our bullets, and Yoshi P will just say whatever he wants to say on that bullet point. But then that means it might be a little harder for the translation. Or we script it, and the delivery now doesn't sound as friendly and casual as we've grown accustomed to, or as Yoshi P likes to do. But the translation is better. Yeah. I'm almost of the mind of go back to the really early live letters, right? Where we had no idea what the official word was of those live letters for about 6 days.
Yeah.
Until they dropped the official translation. We had unofficial translations happening in real time. And that was kind of annoying. But yeah, this in particular, this interview was really hard to watch. It was really hard to watch. It was confusing. But yeah. I got to give it a thumbs down. But does that mean that all of Square Enix's Tokyo Game Show 2021 showing gets a thumbs down. Let's find out in today's Love It or Leave It. Love It or Leave It is the last segment of every episode of the Relic Grind. It's where I give our host something Square Enix related. Could be a game, a feature in a game, a press release, an announcement, anything I want, tangentially related, and hell, sometimes not even related to Square Enix. And you tell me whether you love it, want more of it, or leave it, cast it aside. Final ruling on Square Enix's Tokyo Game Show 2021 showing. We'll start with you, Tark.
So I guess it's all about expectations. I knew 16 wasn't going to be announced in any shape or form. So with that in mind, I'm going to say love it, because I knew what we really wanted wasn't going to be there. I was prepared for that, and I enjoyed what they released. So love it, and I'm looking forward to quite a few of the titles.
Kronos.
Yeah, I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna say leave it. And maybe it's because I had high expectations or whatever. I also wasn't really confident that 16 was gonna be there, but I don't think the Stranger of Paradise trailer really helps the game much. You have to kind of play it, I think, for you really to be excited for that game. Triangle Strategy looks cool. I don't really care about the Kingdom Hearts stuff. Like we said, Babylon's Fall kind of has been tapering off for a lot of us. And then the interview that I was kind of excited for ended up being kind of not great. So I'm going to say leave it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was totally convinced that 16 would be there. I put it at 100%, even if it was just a replaying of its previous trailer. I didn't think they would be there with new stuff, but I thought they would at least put something up just because, if for no other reason, it's a different audience. So I totally got played there. But you know what? I'm going to have to give it a love it, but just barely a love it. On that note, though, I do have to say, I watched quite a bit of the Tokyo Game Show, and I think there's an argument for, as much as this is just barely a love it for me, that Square Enix carried the Tokyo Game Show this year to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
Go look at like Tokyo Game Show recap. I mean, Bandai Namco had one or two things, nothing big. Like
they have a new logo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the new logo. So, yeah, I mean, I got to give love it, because there was enough there that I did like some of the things I saw. I do agree with you on the Stranger of Paradise trailer. It's absolutely abysmal. So was the first one we saw. They really got to nail the marketing on this if they want to, because they're going after the Demon Souls audience with this. But you would not get that from the trailers. You would not get that from those trailers. And they're just cringy as all fuck. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a love it, but just barely. Now, remember, there is no Gaming Gumbo this Saturday. You want to follow us here on Twitch or on Twitter. Saturday, we'll have Liminality Carb streaming in the morning, but then me and two of my children will be at Too Many Games convention in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Expo Center, celebrating all things retro gaming, tabletop gaming, and TCG gaming. We're going to try to see if we can't get some good deals on some retro stuff, checking out the vendors. We're going to go live 2 or 3 different times throughout the day for like an hour or two here and there, so that you can see different parts of the convention. There'll be different celebrities and stuff there. We will be there as consumers, not as like Ready Check Radio, or we don't have a table or anything. That's coming next year. Stay tuned for that stuff. So yeah, we hope you'll join us. Make sure you're following us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all that stuff. We will be back here next Thursday, though, with another Relic Grind, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, to talk about the media embargo dropped information. Until then, Kronos, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, same as always, Twitter. I can promise you that Wednesday I'm going to be posting everything about every job that I could find. So probably complaining and being excited for different stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Tarkoth.
Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. Come on by. We have a good time.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at Magic Man 1, but more importantly, follow at RC Raideo, Raideo, and you'll get a tweet every time we go live with one of our podcasts or one of our volunteer streamers hanging out, playing some games. We love them all. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.